Hi dear fans, friends and subscribers. Welcome to the Cricket Happening Show with your host Ram. Well, today was the start of the second test match between Pakistan and Australia, and once again the man who has been really dominating, in the sense he dominated the first test match against Australia by scoring twin hundreds, also breaking, first equaling the world record, sorry, equaling the record for the equaling the record of Inzamam ul Haq for the number of centuries scored by a Pakistani batsman. And in the next innings he went on to score a record 26th century, which was the highest number of centuries ever scored by a Pakistani batsman in test matches. And today what he did, and as you know, he was the one who was instrumental in Australia losing the first test match, and what he did today is something, a very extraordinary feat. Once again it was Younis Khan who made the headlines in this first day of the second test match between Australia and Pakistan in Abu Dhabi, where Younis Khan scored his third successive century against Australia, thus joining the likes of the former batsmen like Mudassar Nazar of Pakistan and Zahir Abbas, and also I think there was one more player. I'm just trying to think who it was. Well, there were three players, so definitely he joined Mudassar Nazar and Zahir Abbas. There's also one more player which does not really come to mind here, but Mudassar Nazar and Zahir Abbas, I do remember that those were in my days when I used to follow cricket on a very regular basis on the radio and television. So Mudassar Nazar and Zahir Abbas have done it in the past, and here it is, the best batsman in the Pakistan batting lineup as far as test matches is concerned, and the most experienced batsman, Younis Khan, going on to pick up his third successive century against the Australians. And I'm sure he's hungry for more, and especially considering that he was dropped for the one-day international series against Australia, which he definitely didn't take it kindly. But what a way to really make a statement here with the bat. His bat has been doing all the talking, and once again today the same bat did the talking. And not only that, he went on to put a very impressive stand of 208 runs, unbeaten for the third wicket, and his partner was Azhar Ali, absolutely calm and cool, and he grafted an unbeaten 101 towards close of play with 6 fours. Look at his application and his dedication. 101 runs with just 6 boundaries, and Younis Khan 111 with 10 boundaries and 1 6. Both of them would be restarting the innings tomorrow for Pakistan, as Pakistan were placed in a very commanding position going into stumps on day one of this second test match between Australia and Pakistan. And Pakistan closed at 304 for 2 after 2 overs were nipped off due to bad light, and only 88 overs were possible in the day. Well, just talking about this game, Pakistan were the ones who actually won the toss, and what a toss to win for Pakistan, considering that they are hunting for their first ever test series win against the Australians. It was a very good toss to win for Pakistan, I thought, because the reason that I say that is because it was a flat pitch, and Misbah ul Haq, the Pakistan captain, immediately decided to bat first, which was a good decision. And they started off, and as far as the team changes were concerned, Pakistan decided to retain the winning combination that won the first test match. But as far as Australia were concerned, Australia decided to make some changes, and the changes that Australia made were, they decided to leave Alex Doolan, who had a bad first test match. His place was taken by Glenn Maxwell, the all-rounder, and they also, Steve O'Keefe, the left-arm spinner, was left out to make way for Mitchell Starc. Well, considering that the pitch is flat, Glenn Maxwell can definitely bowl, but the pitch is flat, and we all saw that there was nothing in the pitch today for the bowlers. The bowlers had to really toil for their wickets, and where Pakistan started off by winning the toss, Ahmed Shahzad and Mohammad Hafiz walked into bat. Mitchell Johnson couldn't see, even though he bowled well. I thought Mitchell Johnson could not get any assistance from the pitch. Mitchell Stark also struggled with his line. Peter Siddle also couldn't get, but even though I thought Mitchell Johnson and Peter Siddle bowled well, there was absolutely no assistance. In fact, Michael Clarke decided that he would be using 8 bowlers, including himself, to bowl, but as I said, the Pakistani batting was rock hard, and it was not easy. And not only that, as I said, there was nothing in the pitch for the bowlers, and it was not like Dubai, not like the previous test match in Dubai, where the pitch really gave some assistance to the bowlers, but today it was completely different. So Ahmed Shahzad and Mohammad Hafiz put up a partnership. As I said, they didn't have any trouble negotiating the likes of Johnson, Stark and Siddle, and they put on 57 for the first wicket, with Ahmed Shahzad contributing 35. But Nathan Lyon was the one who provided the breakthrough for Australia when he got Ahmed Shahzad propping forward, and he was hit on the pad, and that was the end of Ahmed Shahzad. LBW bowled Nathan Lyon for 35 with 3 fours, which made the score 57 for 1. Mohammad Hafiz decided that he was really playing in a very defensive mode. If you look at his innings, he made 45 with just 1 boundary, and well, his wicket was snapped up by Mitchell Johnson, who actually angled the ball into Mohammad Hafiz, and Mohammad Hafiz fell a victim as he was caught by Brand Haddin behind the stumps for 45, and that made the score 96 for 2. From the score of 96 for 2, there were 2 batsmen at the crease. One was Azhar Ali, who was really grafting his way. He was really defending well, and we all know, I've been telling that throughout on my cricket show, that Azhar Ali is the most technically proficient batsman in this Pakistan cricket team. He is ideally made for test matches, and that's what he precisely did. He grinded, he grafted. Younis Khan at the other end was much more enterprising than Azhar Ali with his wide array of strokes. He was the one. I'm sure any batsman who has scored 200s in the previous test match, what would confidence do to him? And once again, Younis Khan was breeding confidence as he really dealt with the bowlers very well, and he also played some marvelous strokes, especially his driving through the covers was a real sight to watch as he carved the bowlers through the cover region for boundaries. That was his primary scoring area, driving through the covers, and both of them really started chiseling a partnership, and this was a partnership which, as I said, Younis Khan was the one who was more aggressive. Azhar Ali, I wouldn't say for the, initially he was not aggressive, but towards the close of play, we saw that in the final session, Azhar Ali really, I would say, actually changed gears, and he played very well, and he hit some boundaries, and that enabled Azhar Ali to finish with his sixth test run. In fact, this was his 6th test 100, finishing on an unbeaten 101 with 6 fours to his name. And Younis Khan, as I said, getting his 3rd successive century. He was unbeaten on 111. This was his 27th century in test cricket for Younis Khan. He was not out on Nelson, as England call it. It's 111 with 10 fours and 1 6. And Pakistan finishing, as I said, on a very commanding position at 304 for 2 after 2 overs were nipped off. Normally, as you know, 90 overs have to be bowled for the day. Only 88 overs were bowled, and the umpires actually ruled out play for the next 2 overs due to bad light, and that was the end of the day on day 1 of the 2nd test match here at the Sheikh Zayed Stadium here in Abu Dhabi. Pakistan still have a lot of batting to still come. Younis Khan will continue in the same vein, and would not be surprised with the pitch really not assisting the bowlers. I wouldn't be surprised if Younis Khan would probably go on to make a record tomorrow. whereby if he gets a double century, I think he would be the first Pakistani batsman to do so, where he has got 2 centuries and a double century in successive fashion. And Younis Khan, let me tell you, as I said, he has really made a statement, no doubt about it. Now let's have a look at the bowling. Bowling, well, nothing to really talk about, because as I said, the pitch was not assisting the bowlers. Every bowler had to really work hard to allow, probably one had to actually wait for the batsman to make mistakes to get the wicket. So such was the nature of the pitch today. Mitchell Johnson 18 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 50. Mitchell Stark 11 overs, none for 37. Peter Siddle 17 overs, 5 maidens, none for 39. Nathan Lyon 23 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 86. Got a bit of I wouldn't say couldn't get much assistance on the pitch, so definitely he was dealt with severely by both Azhar Ali and Younis Khan. Mitchell Marsh 6 overs for 23. Maxwell 8 overs, 1 maiden, none for 36. Mitchell Clark 2 overs, none for 7. Michael Clark, the captain of the Australian team. Stephen Smith 3 overs for 17. And stumps, as I said, on day 1, it was a commanding score for Pakistan. And looking at the prospect that is coming up on the second day, unless and until the pitch is going to change, I see that Pakistan are definitely in the quest for their first ever series victory against Australia. But it's too early to talk now, because one has to see how Australia play, and also has to see how is the pitch behaving in the later days, and then see whether the Pakistani spinners are able to get some turn and bounce out of this wicket. It would be pretty interesting to watch, but I think there is definitely an interesting day's play coming up on the second day, where all the eyes would be on Younis Khan, whether he can go on to a double century on a pitch which is not really assisting the bowlers. Well, so that really sums up my cricket happenings as far as day 1 is concerned on the Abu Dhabi Test. Now I'm going to really change ends from here, like how the bowlers actually change bowling ends. I'm going to take you down to India. We are going to the for the first match. This was the, as you know, Sri Lanka are in India to actually play 5 one-day international matches, and today was the first tour match that Sri Lanka played on the tour of India. And this was a match which was played between India A versus Sri Lanka. It was played at the Brabham Stadium here in Mumbai, and let me tell you, the India A team on the first match defeated the Sri Lankans by 88 runs, with India A actually batting first and notching up 382 for 6 of their 50 overs. Rohit Sharma, who the other day was declared fit, really showed that he's extremely fit by making 142 runs of 111 balls with 18 fours and 1 6. And as you know, Manish Pandey, as you would remember, was included in the T20 matches for India against West Indies, but unfortunately, because West Indies had to go in the midst of their tour, it didn't happen. But Manish Pandey showed why he was included by stroking the ball sweetly and fluently to make an unbeaten 135 of 113 deliveries with 15 fours and 1 6. Unmuk Chand made an aggressive 54 of 43 deliveries with 8 fours and 1 6. And Tiwari contributing 36 of 26 balls with 2 fours and 2 sixes. And India A notched up. Well, definitely it was Sanju Samson who definitely failed, only making 1 run. Stuart Binney also was out cheaply for 1, and Kedar Jadhav was out for a duck. And 382 for 6 of 50 overs was such a big score that the India A put up against the Sri Lankan bowlers. Sri Lanka used almost all the bowlers bowled. All the players actually bowled, with Kulashekara 6 overs costing him 53 runs. Damika Prasad 6 overs 3 for 57. Angelo Matthews 2 overs for 22. Pereira was taken to the cleaner, 6 overs for 64. 2 for 41 for Gamage, the left arm bowler. Sakugya Prasanna 6 overs none for 27. 7 overs for 51 runs for the right arm off spinner Suraj Ranadev. The Silva bowled 6 overs none for 42. 3 overs for 19 for Dilshan, and Priyanjan bowled 1 over for 5 runs. As far as Sri Lanka, when Sri Lanka started their reply, they lost their dashing opener Kushal Pereira early to the bowling of double Kulkarni for 4, and then it was Karan Sharma who really stood out. In fact, Sri Lanka definitely tried to fight their way out, but all they could muster was 294 for 9 of their 50 overs. And the chief architect, in the sense the chief person who actually took the wickets, was none other than Karan Sharma, the right-arm leg spinner, who went on the tour of England, but after that he was not selected when West Indies came here. He really proved a point here by bowling superbly, and look at the wickets that he got. He got some big scalps there. He dismissed Upul Taranga for 76, who was the highest scorer of 75 balls with 13 fours. Dilshan was a victim of Karan Sharma for 14 of 24 balls, 2 fours. But the wicket that Karan Sharma would greatly relish was the wicket that he took of Mahela Jayawardene. What a beauty of a delivery. He defeated Jayawardene with a real googly, and that googly was something which actually Jayawardene was absolutely foxed by the delivery. The ball actually found its gap between the bat and pad of Mahela Jayawardene and went on to crash into the stumps, and he was gone for 33 of 31 balls with 3 fours. Sangakkara contributing 34 of 35 balls with 3 fours, becoming a victim of the spinner Parvez Rasool. Angelo Matthews failed in this in his first dig here. He was out for 3 to the bowling. As I said, those were the wickets. Now Karan Sharma had taken some big scalps. He took the wicket of Taranga, he took the wicket of Dilshan, Mahela Jayawardene, and he also took the wicket of the Sri Lankan captain Angelo Matthews. Premjan made 23 of 30 balls, 3 fours. Niroshan Dikwala making 29. As you know, he's the wicket keeper. Niroshan Dikwala, he made 29 of 27 balls with 3 fours. And Tisra Pereira made 13. In the end, the 10th wicket pair actually tried their best, but it was a too tall a task to really challenge, with Sekugya Prasanna not out on 21 of 23 balls with 3 fours. De Silva was not out. Chaturanga De Silva was not out on 26 of 19 balls with 4 fours. And as I said, the Sri Lankans ending up with a score of 294 for 9 of their 50 overs, thus losing the match by a margin of 88 runs. So Sri Lanka losing their first tour match against the India A team. Dhaval Kulkarni provided the breakthrough, 2 for 41 for him. Stuart Binney bowled 7 overs for 40, but Karan Sharma was the bowling figures that really stood out. As I said, he picked up some big scalps of the Sri Lankan batsmen there. 10 overs, 2 maidens, 4 for 47, splendid bowling figures. Parvez Rasool, 10 overs, 256, picked up Kumar Sangakkara's wicket. Manish Pandey bowled 2 overs for 12 runs, but Kuldeep Yadav was inducted. He got 1 wicket today, and the wicket that he got was of a big wicket of Tisra Pereira, but Kuldeep Yadav couldn't really get going against the Sri Lankans. In fact, his 10 overs cost him 48 runs with a 1 wicket. Manoj Tiwari bowled 2 overs for 23. Kedar Jadhav bowling 2 overs for 16. And as I said, Sri Lanka losing their first tour match against the Indians by 88 runs. Well, dear fans, friends and subscribers, that really brings an end. As you know, the first one international between Sri Lanka and India would be starting on 2nd of November. Well, dear fans, subscribers, one thing I would like to tell you here is that the partnership between Younis Khan and Azhar Ali has already yielded an unbeaten 208 runs for the 3rd wicket. They came at the score of 96 for 2, and they've taken the Pakistani score at close of play to 304 for 2. So Australia definitely have some real hard work to do going into the 2nd day against the Pakistani batsmen. Well, dear fans and subscribers, that really brings an end to this cricket happening show of mine. Hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks for your company as always. Your host Ram will be there with a full match report on the 2nd day's play between Australia and Pakistan, which will be played in Abu Dhabi tomorrow. Until then, it's goodbye from host Ram Studios. Thank you.